Hello everyone, this is Season Ovo 992 and yes, today we are back with a brand new video and we're back in black, ladies and gentlemen, because it was yet another putrid, depressing Geo-ball performance from this Rangers side that saw 2 points be flung completely out the window at home versus a team that hadn't drawn all season long in Livingston Football Club. It's a game of football that, despite once again in press conferences and wee statements and wee words here and wee bits coming out in the press about changes and tweaks and adjustments and aggressive high intensity, there was none of that, ladies and gentlemen. It was another game of football where we played the exact same way we've been playing for months, but instead of kicking the can down the road and scraping through and getting the points despite playing poorly, that kicking the can down, pushing the negativity, pushing what was coming, it'll eventually catch up with you, and that's exactly what we saw this afternoon, because we kept burying our hands in our sands, because we kept pretending it wasn't gone this way, because we didn't address the issue of our problem, and one of the main issues of our problem, it's just been rewarded and handed right over to us with that 1-1 draw, which again saw 2 points drop yet again at home with another putrid performance that you're probably going to hear several times in today's video. But honestly, I'm just tired. Yeah, I'm honestly tired. Like the last 3 games, if you put them in a vacuum, that would turn you off football. You'd never watch another game. See, if you were to try and get someone interested in football and you showed them the Motherwell game, the game at midweek, and this one right here, they would going to start calling it soccer and watch American football. Genuinely, they would never ever watch a 90 minutes of football again. But that is what we've been getting now for weeks and months under Giovanni. The only slight bright of light where it tricked us, people, and it did trick us. They sold us a dream coming back for the international break because we had 2 back-to-back performances and we thought, alright, there's a team in there. But we've no, it's strangled to creativity, it's strangled into playing one way, and it's strangled by the manager who continues to pick people and give people chances who's ran their race and should have been sitting on the bench. So aye, people, I'll be honest, I'm done with it, and again, I didn't want to be done with it, but if I was sitting here saying anything else, I'd be lying to you, and I didn't ever want to lie to you, I never have. I've maybe made mistakes here and there, but I've never lied, so very, very disappointed with how it's turned out, but I feel like we've now reached a breaking point where the fans are so out there now in terms of faith-wise, and Gio, a change has to be made to salvage the season right now because it's still so early, there's still so many games, and hell, maybe Gio will stay in the job, maybe Gio will turn it around or anything like that, but again, is it looking likely right now? No. And I just feel like we need to get back all on the same side because it feels like we're so fractured again as a club and a fan base that everything that we built over the last couple of years under Gerrard and that is just well and truly been gone. And I'm not sitting here saying that Gerrard needs to come back and he was done so great. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying, do you remember the feeling when we believed and it was all connected under there and we were all had one goal pretty much? Well, where is it now? People want the board kicked out. People want Ross Wilson kicked out. People want Gio. People want to keep Gio but kick Ross Wilson out. But it's all mixed there, people, and it's all arguing like mad. And I've just reached a point now. What I'm seeing on the park, because that's where it is for me, is so far away from what we used to be. That the guy that's in charge of steering that ship that is sinking, and it is sinking, ladies and gentlemen, has to be the one that gets to focus on him, and that for me is Giovanni and Ross Wilson, because they have put this team together. They were happy with this team and they've oversaw the change from what we were to what we are now with the slow, passive, ponderous horseshoe FC. So aye, if people's want my short version before we actually break down the game of football and everything like that, that's my opinion. Changes need to be made now, people, because it's honestly getting worse, and I wish it wasn't this way, but it is. But again, it is from a football perspective, because that's what's actually on the park, and the players deserve a lot of blame, and trust me, the longer you watch today's video, I'll be certainly calling out certain players and everything like that. But you just look at it, we've got David Martindale after this game sitting in press conferences and saying we knew for a fact they'd just be crossing it and we can deal with those crosses, so we lit them and we just flooded the middle. That is Martindale working Giovanni's Rangers side like a puppet and wearing them like a pair of shoes, ladies and gentlemen, just letting them do it because he knows exactly what we're going to do. And again, that's for me why it circles back to the problem that is Giovanni, that we are getting outfought and we're so painfully obvious that we have absolutely no plan B, that Martindale knows exactly how we will play down to a T and can prepare his game, and he's not the only one to do that. You look at it over the last couple games never flat, and even several times this season, it is so painfully obvious. We pass, 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 pass up here, or pass up here, cross, pass, 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 up here, and cross. It is dreadful standard of football, and it's tricking on exposing no one but Giovanni and Rangers' inability to adapt and have a plan B. And I do actually have a lot of sympathy for Gio, and a lot of frustrations, and I still make a lot of excuses when I'm arguing with my pals and everything, like in group chats and everything. I've defended the guy a lot, but now I've reached the point that even me, people, I've reached the point where I've got to start conceding some things. I mean, today we watched us cross the ball 73 times. We had 432 corners in that game. We never won one single header from any of those corners, whilst Leon Balogun, who we allowed to leave this football club, who was in our stands begging to be a part of our team, would run through a brick wall for this team, is scoring a match-winning bullet header from a corner for QPR, who's managed by former Rangers assistant Michael Beale. Do you know what I mean? Ladies, it feels like this is a simulation, and I'm not even sitting here saying we should have kept Leon. That's not the argument I'm having right now. I'm just saying that Gio signed off on that and let him go because he was happy. And now look at where we are right now. So I do think there has to be some responsibility taken, because some of the decisions he has made has, in my opinion, been wrong. And again, he's been unlucky with Goldson, but every single guy in their dug knows for a fact that John Souttar is injury prone, and we allowed ourselves to fall here. We know Hilander's out to November, so that's where again you can use it as an excuse if you want, but we knew the cards were on the table there. Goldson is a surprise. The rest of it isn't a surprise. We put ourselves in this position where we are taking corners, and our attacking threat from corners is 6 foot centre defensive mid James Sands. Like, see, when you put it all out there, it's honestly unreal what we've done over the last couple of months. But again, even if we take that away, because that's just one isolated player, and again I was using it as an example. Today, he talked about in his press conference after and everything how he was disappointed because he wanted to start this game off with high intensity and high energy. Pause right there. If we wanted high intensity and high energy and to go after them from the first whistle, why are we starting Scott Arfield as our right winger and we're playing 2 centre defensive mids at home? Do you see what I'm saying here? Sometimes you've got to just take a bit of responsibility. He continues to make the same mistakes he was making last year. Pittodrie away, at home versus Motherwell, Ross County. These have been mistakes that we have continued to make under Gio, and that's where I've now reached this point where again I'm so absolutely frustrated. But again, do I actually think changes will be made? No. But do I think they need to be? Yes, to just salvage it, because again, there's just this feeling where it's not gone right now, and sometimes you need a massive shake-up. I've been hoping that Gio's been willing to do it. Maybe try a 3-5-2, maybe do a wee bit, son, shake, son, and inject, son. I was hoping he would be the change in terms of what we were able to do on the park to spark us back into life. But all he's shown in his Rangers tenure is he is unwilling to change, and that's why we continue to get the same results and performances. Now, regarding the game in that itself, you have to give credit to Livingston, but again, I always give credit to Livingston. Watch yesterday's preview video. There's not one part of that game that surprised me from a Livingston perspective, because they're a big, hard-working, honest bunch of lads, both coaching staff and players. They just give you absolutely everything, and there was gamemanship and lying, doing everything like that, but we'd be doing it if it was a European game or if we were winning on that day, so let's not pretend that we aren't. That's part and parcel of the game, so I won't sit here and roast them with that. That's on us. We still have plenty of opportunities to score instead of doing 73 crosses in a game. That is a real stat. Can you just let that sink in? Through a 97-minute game of football, because there was plenty of time added on, we done 73 crosses. Is that not simply embarrassing and showing why we need a change at this football club? Because that is all we do. We've got no invention, we've got no creativity in the middle, we've not got any plan B, we didn't try anything else. It's go wide and cross it. 73 crosses in a game of football is a shambles, especially when it doesn't result in 65 goals, people. I mean, the standard of that as well is simply pathetic. So there's frustration out there. I know some people's probably going to say, CJ, it's only a draw or anything like that, or anything like that. Draws happen in a season. Maybe you're going a bit overboard, and maybe I am, people, but I'm just honestly sick to death of watching it because it's so bad to watch. It wasn't one of these games. These happen in a season or anything like that, because I've said that many times over the years. We have one of these games every single week, and what's became the rarity, no dropping points or anything or playing poorly, it's actually playing well. That's what's became the rare occasion in our season, that we have it once or twice a month and then we fall away for the rest of it. So aye, people, it was pathetic, but for Livingston perspective, you've got to be absolutely delighted with getting a point in that game, and maybe slightly disappointed you didn't get more. But aye, let's go ahead and talk about this game of football then, shall we? Because despite everything we were told in the press and told about changes and told about tweaks and we told about that, none of it happened. It was the exact same standard we've seen before. Arfield out right, Davis in the middle, slowing everything down again, and I love Stephen Davis playing two centre defensive mids. It's at home versus Livingston, and it was probably fitting the way the game actually started, because it was Livingston that had a goal in the opening 5 minutes. Aye, after everything we heard about an electrifying start and getting everybody back on base, it was Livingston who attacked in. It's really poor work here for Tav. I can't sit here and defend the lad. He's far too weak here, and I think, to be fair to him, in his own presser, he did take responsibility for it, because it wasn't anywhere near good enough. Just gets pushed out the road. The ball ends up coming in. I believe it takes a slight deflection on that, but it drops to the big centre forward, who obviously we talked about yesterday and talked about in another preview video for Livingston. Like the look of him, big, physical. Again, he's not going to score a certain amount of goals a year for Livingston, but in these games, when you need someone who's big and physical and it can run a defence when he's going to do a lot of the work himself, he's perfectly suited to play each side at the Old Firm. And to be fair, his shot is brilliant, his celebration's gutting. He gritted on us, ladies and gentlemen. A Livingston football player gritted on us. Thank you, Geo Ball. We love and will appreciate that memory forever. But again, going down to an early goal happens, and sometimes it can happen in a game of football, especially when you're not playing particularly well, but you can actually bounce back. You can take a wee bit and say, right, and start piling people forward, start creating things and get angry, play aggressive, start taking more risk. But we never, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, it should have been 2-0 to Livingston 10-15 minutes after they took the lead, as the ball comes in from a corner. It's not defended well. I think it takes a deflection off somebody and it bounces down to Fitzwater, who I believe it is, and he can't get the volley on target. That was a massive opportunity, and it really could and should have been 2-0 to Livingston. And it's at that point I just sat back, and I honestly, I was quiet for one of the very few times in my life. A lot of you would have been delighted with that, but I just sat back and went, nah, changes need to be made. It was at that 20 minutes into the game, I knew no matter what happened in the rest of that game, I had absolute zero faith that Rangers would turn that around. And you all know I am painfully, and I mean painfully optimistic, and I'm an idiot with positivity. But even me, 20 minutes into a game versus Livingston, sat back and says, we're not turning this around, and that itself is embarrassing, because I'm an idiot, ladies and gentlemen. And aye, that's what Geo Ball and these players have done, because every single one of them, and again, the manager is going to take a lot of flack, and I've already said my opinion on that. I think there is changes. It's reached that point, and no matter what happens, I think it will reach that point. But the players should take a hard look at themselves as well, because when you go over that white line, when that whistle goes, doesn't matter if you're getting told all the time to play a horseshoe and strangle all your creativity out the squad and everything like that. You can sometimes just take a ball and say, you know what, I'm going to make something happen. I'm looking at you, Ryan Kent, because the last 15 minutes of this game, you created 4 or 5 golden opportunities, and that's what you're capable of. I don't know why it took you 75 minutes to actually wake up and start playing like the Ryan Kent we know, but the first 70 minutes is an indictment of where we are as a team. Too many players just going through the motions, passing it backwise, born a back pass. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sick to death watching it, but at least he was scalloping forward and trying to put balls in the mix, and was showing a wee bit of motion, slamming balls down and everything like that. It would have been good to see that through several other first team players, but I'm just not seeing enough directness, because we talked in yesterday's preview video. Now that there's VAR, I wanted to see our wingers driving at the box and asking defenders questions, because now these defenders know they can't get away with anything. It doesn't matter if the referee's cited, because they will be punished. But until the last 15 minutes of the game, not one person ran towards the box, and that's on the players as well. So the players and manager are really horrible right now, and I just feel like there's something's happened there as well. Do you know what I mean? I feel like maybe the players and manager doesn't agree or anything like that, because there just seems to be something so sick with the Rangers team right now that we've regressed so quickly from what we were last season to where we are now. It genuinely beggars belief. It wouldn't surprise me if we found out we were doing an Amazon All or Nothing series, because that's exactly how every single one of them go. They pick a team who's done well and then they do absolutely stinking in the next game. It wouldn't surprise me, people, but aye, poor start, first 20-25 minutes. I think we only had one real chance in the first half, and I say chance, but it was a shot from Cholak as the ball comes in. He tries to hit it with the outside of his foot. It goes just wide, but that's it for creativity in the first half. And can I just say, again, I'm circling back quite a lot. We talked about wingers going into the box and everything like that. We started with one winger in this game, with attackers sitting on the bench and wingers sitting on the bench. We started Arfield out on the right. And aye, that was it, people. That was the first 45 minutes, despite going down a goal early in the opening 5 minutes. That's what we mustered in terms of attack and response and creativity. Nothing. It's as bad as it was versus Motherwell, and it was as bad as it was at midweek. And it's honestly got to the stage now that watching this football club and watching Geoball, if you will, is the football and equivalent of Game of Thrones Season 8. You want it to be good. You hope it's going to get better. It's got some of your favourite characters in there, but they're ruining these characters, and it's absolutely rotten to watch. And that's it. That's all you need to watch. You can still watch now. I'm going to go through the rest of it, but that's honestly everything you need to know about where we are as a team right now. But if the first 45 minutes wasn't bad enough with a big fat zero shots on target, we went ahead and made 2 substitutions. And again, I was so naive online. I thought Gio would go 2 up top for the half time because it's Livingston Football Club. We're 1-0 down. We need a win and everything like that. But we did make 2 substitutions at half time. Rabbi Matondo came on, and so did James Sands. A centre back came on the park at half time, 1-0 down, with 3 or 4 attacking players sitting there picking daisies. Where was I? I've genuinely forgot, because there's nothing to talk about from it was the strange, awful double substitution from Gio. I'd honestly take a Pedro Cachina triple substitution with Michael O'Halloran at right back more right now than Gio's strange and baffling substitutions and everything like that, because he's just so unwilling to change for plan A. It is driving me insane. But anyway, we jump into the second half. Nothing happens for 25 minutes. Nothing happens. I'm telling you, nothing happens. We go out wide, over hit across, go wide, over hit across, go wide, under hit across, we go wide, we cross it to the keeper, we go wide, it goes over. It's just like that for 25 minutes until one of the crosses, one of the 7, I think it was the 22nd cross since the second half started. I think it was the 22nd anyway, I might be wrong, it might be the 25th, whatever. But anyway, it gets crossed in and Cholak tries an overhead kick and it goes just wide. So the big man's trying everything he could possibly do, but still it is so putrid to watch. And then we go ahead and make a substitution, and then Alfredo Morelos is able to come on the park, and then we play up top, and we actually looked a little bit more threatening in terms of we had a bit more directness in our play. Morelos was demanding the ball, Cholak was demanding the ball, but again, despite having 2 up top, it was still... And that's what's worrying. Even when we go 2 up top, we still don't play through the middle at all. It is still the horseshoe. It's maddening, isn't it? I feel like I'm going crazy. I know I'm already grey-haired, but I'm pretty sure I'll be like Gandalf by the time I'm finished today's video. But aye, more time goes by, another 10 minutes goes by, and then one of the big decisions of the second half, happens. In fact, the biggest decision in the game, now that I say it. There's a shocking challenge on Alfredo Morelos, who again we just spoke about coming on, and VAR has its first introduction in terms of that, and it gets... Well, got it absolutely spot on because it's a horrific challenge. Definitely a red card. I think no one's going to argue with that. It's one of the few cases this weekend that VAR's got it right. I watched the Hearts Celtic game and oh my god, I was terrified about VAR because pretty much every decision they got wrong in that game. But for me, it was a red card. Studs up, right in the leg. You're always going to get that one, especially if you've been watching the English football the last year or two since it's been introduced. And we get the free kick. Do we do anything with it? That'd be silly, people. But we do keep battling away, and again, that's when Ryan Kent started to turn up a little bit, started nutmegging people, started getting into the box, started asking some questions. It's just too little too late for me, pal. You're capable that for the first whistle. I don't know why it's taking you 75 minutes to actually show that you care. I don't know what is going on there, but Ryan, it did become the sort of Ryan Kent show over the next 10-15 minutes. Started getting involved, and one of his crosses on the 90th minute, he does so well actually, beats the player down to the byline, chips it in, Lundstrom's there, volley. It's actually a fantastic finish, by the way, and it's probably the hardest opportunity that we scored in the game. We missed a hell of a lot easier ones, and you're thinking, right, we've got one, let's just get another one, but we kept huffing and puffing. Cholak has a header opportunity in the 94th minute from, again, I believe, a Ryan Kent shot. He has another header, which is fantastically saved by the goalkeeper, and then Lundstrom has the biggest glaring opportunity, pretty much the last kick of the ball. It's another wonderful cross. I think it's Ryan Kent again. I think it is again. He whips it in. Lundstrom's got to score. It's the biggest sitter you ever see. He's got time to even do this. See, when you've got time to do this, like you're on an arcade in the 1980s, you've got to score it, people. But he ends up hitting it wide, and that'll probably have the same kind of status as a Gerrard missed penalty under Roy Hodgson, because that's probably going to cost Giovanni his job. And that was it, people. But again, see if we scraped that. If Lundstrom had put that sitter in the last minute, would I be sitting here feeling any different about the management and Ross Wilson or anything like that? No, because what I'm seeing on the park is giving me absolutely nothing, and I mean nothing, to go with. I'm one of the most enthusiastic people going around, people, but that's been ripped right out of me because there is nothing I can get behind in terms of how we're playing right now. I know the injury list is incredibly long and everything like that, but look at the bench. Look at the attacking talent. You're telling me that we can't find a way to find Antonio Cholak and Alfredo Morelos to be on the park at the exact same time in a home game versus the likes of Livingston Football Club and the likes of a cup game. We can't play two attacking players at once. People, that's where my problem is. There's just nothing there. Even under Gerrard, we still managed to find Roof at the right hand side, and we were able to do that, and we still had two people going into the box and everything like that, so we still had attacking players. But this is pathetic. It really, really is. And that's me done and dusted, ladies and gentlemen. I think Gio will be the same, but I'm telling you right now, if that man's lost his job, these players need to have a look at themselves as well and really give themselves a kick up the arse. And again, he shouldn't be the only in that needs to go as well, because again, I will be gutted when he goes, but I just feel like it's needed because something needs to happen right now, because it's only going to get worse. We have Napoli, the most informed team in Europe, coming up. Do you have absolutely any confidence in this team and manager to put out a plan there today, remotely anything? I didn't, and that's a terrifying thought, people. But let me know your thoughts and opinions. I don't know if I'm going to get shouted at here and get clipped and screamed at for saying, oh, you said Gio should go and everything like that. I'm just saying we've reached a point now, people. We've not like, it could go either way. No, we've reached a point. There needs to be a change right now, because the fans feel it. It's reached that point. It's time to act now before the season ends up going and trickling away further and further and further. But that's what I've got to say. Shout me and tell me I'm wrong if you want. I'm probably just being grumpy, but you can let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below, because it's always about me and they. And until next time, which will be the preview for Napoli, I've been Siege Over 92. Thank you so much for watching, and bye.